uMore is designed to save therapists time on their admin work while also inspiring their clients with really high quality homework and keeping them engaged. And today I'm going to show you how to do exactly that with the uMore platform. So the magic really starts when transcribing a session. By clicking this button, you'll see that you have the option to transcribe a session with a client either done in person or via telehealth platforms such as Google Meet or Zoom. So right now I'm going to do a very brief roleplay where I'm both the client and the therapist to show you how you can get an automated progress note out of the conversation. Hi Mick, how are you doing today? Well doctor, thank you very much for seeing me. I think I am making progress in my treatment, but in terms of my social anxiety, I'm still having a tough time in large groups. Well, thank you for telling me that, Mick. Can you tell me exactly what thoughts are arising when you're spending time in these large groups? Yeah, I am afraid that people are going to be judging me, and as a result, I'm just getting very overwhelmed. And while the cognitive restructuring work that I've been doing has been helpful before I arrive at these functions, when I'm actually there, it's just a whole nother kettle of fish, and I can't seem to regulate in time. Well, Mick, thank you for telling me that. What I can do is I can help you with some deep breathing exercises and some mindfulness meditations, and I'll send you that as a follow-up for you to practice. These will help you find some peace in the midst of those functions, and hopefully it will mean that you're in a better spot to be able to do the cognitive restructuring. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay, so while that is definitely not a typical therapy session, I just wanted to highlight some examples to show how the progress note could work. So as you can see, in just a few seconds, you actually get a progress note generated from that conversation. In this case, the format is a SOAP note, and as you can see, it's picking up on the social anxiety, those situations where they find large groups, feeling judged, and even in terms of the assessment of the plan, you have the follow-up on what was discussed. And of course, this is HIPAA compliant, and we're soon going to be coming out with some features that allow you to make edits based on your preferences for what a SOAP note looks like for you, or even change it to get different types of notes as well. Now, after the note has been generated, because homework is such a critical part of the treatment process in many cases, we actually help you with some templates for that as well. So based on that conversation, there are some examples that you'll be able to find here. And as you can see, it is tailored to that conversation. So let's click on this. And what you'll find is a module, kind of like a course with different exercises that the client can receive. And if you scroll down, you'll see that we've got one on social anxiety, cognitive restructuring, deep breathing, and mindfulness, just as we mentioned. And each of these is a fillable, interactive, bite-sized exercise for the client to do. So we can have a look at this one, for example, which is all about understanding cognitive restructuring. Now, of course, these are just template examples, so we really do advise that you review this and adapt it for the client before you send it to them. But the great thing is that any changes get saved, so you'll have something saved in your library which you can just reuse and send to any client that you want in the future. Now, if you do want to make any edits, it's super easy. You don't have to spend a lot of time anymore typing away like you would on Word, but now you can actually just tell the system what you want, and in seconds, it will make those changes. So for example, make the copy warm and add emojis. Now, this is quite simplistic. You can also say to add a particular question, change the wording of a particular question, but I just want to show you that very quickly, you can actually get a rewritten example. And now we've got those emojis, and indeed, the copy has been written in a very empathetic way. And again, you just have to click Save Changes, that saves, and you now have the perfect set of worksheets that you want to send out to a client. Now, to send it to a client, it's super easy. You just click this button, Send to Client. You select the client from the list. In this case, it was Mick Jagger. And he's an imaginary client in this case, maybe had a little too many parties and rock and roll over the week. And you can even specify when you would want it sent. So if you just click on here, you can specify a date. Let's say you want it to be received at a certain time. Pick the time, let's say now is okay. And you click send. And whether you have uploaded your client to the system with their phone number or their email, you have the choice. It will send out to them. Great. So that's how the homework works. We've now completed a lot of that admin. We just specify who it is that we've seen, and we can then go back. And here you'll have a list of all of those different transcriptions, the SOAP notes that were generated from those meetings. Now, in terms of the homework that we have a lot of different available tools that you can use to send your clients. It's not just worksheets, but also assessments, intake forms, and also treatment plans. And I'm going to very quickly show you what those look like. Now, the first thing I'll actually show is the types of ways in which you can get these. We have pre-made examples with a ready-made library, but you can also generate them via our system to get that perfect tailored worksheet for your clients. And you can save these to your library and use them as many times as you like. So let's start with that pre-made library. We actually have a really cool tool here, which kind of works like Google for therapists. You just type in what you want, let's say social anxiety, and we'll show you the most relevant resources to your search. So after you see a client and you've seen them for social anxiety, you can see what we have. So let's say actually we want to have a look at this one, the exposure therapy worksheet. And the worksheets that we make we make sure to have them be very visual, very engaging. In this case, we even have a visual metaphor for a ladder to give that psychoeducational explanation of exposure therapy. We give an example, and then always we have these interactive questions. And when the client fills these out, you'll actually get all of the results in the client page. You'll get charts, you'll get progress reports, but more on that later. So let's say we want to send this to a client. What does it look like for them? Well, this is what the client will see. They'll receive an email from uMore with some very objective text that asks them to complete that activity. And if they click on that, they will receive the activity that you sent them. Now, this is able to be working from a phone or a computer, so for any client, it will be tailored to them. They just have to come in and answer. Let's put that in. Let's say that we now understand the topic. And when they hit complete, you will be sent the answers that they put in, but also they'll have the option to review and save their responses for their own reference. So I can show you what that now looks like. We're going to go to the client page, and this was received from Mick, so we'll click on Mick. And scrolling down, you can see a record of all of the worksheets and assessments that has been sent to Nick. And what do you know? They've now completed the assessment. We can see it as completed. If you click on that, you can open it up, scroll down, and you'll actually be able to see their answers and review that before the next session. Now, I'm going to show you how our assessments work, because as you probably saw just a second ago, you can actually see changes over time at a glance with visual charts. So in this case, these are examples from the PHQ-9, and we can see that, oh great, over time it is decreased there with the scoring key as well. So how does it work for the assessments? Well, I'll go back to the resource tab, and I'll click on assessments, and you can browse through and see that we have many available, including the GAM7, the PHQ-9. Let's get up that PHQ-9. I'm just going to type in PHQ. There it is as the first result. And here we go. You've probably seen this hundreds of times now in your career. Super standardized way to collect that data, which will then get scored and represented to you. Now we have some other types of content as well. We have intake forms, which, just like the assessments, allow them to answer some questions, whether quantitative or qualitative, and you'll get that saved to your system. And we also have treatment plans too, which allow you to construct a plan around your client and keep that for your records. So for example, we have this depression treatment plan template, and as you can see with the system, you can actually edit that in real time. You can specify here if you want to say like, change the behavioral definitions or change the goals or the objectives for the client. All you have to do is speak with the system as we showed earlier. It will update it for you, and you can then assign that to a client for your records. Wonderful. So these are the tools that we have already made. But as I mentioned, you can actually generate your own worksheets in two ways. The first way is just by typing in what it is that you want to see. So let's say, make a CBT worksheet for a client who has a phobia of elevators. And you click generate, and in a few seconds, this will create that worksheet. Now, I use an example of something very niche, because if there is something that you want a quick worksheet for, you don't want to spend hours searching on the internet, having to make one yourself from scratch, uMore can do it for you. And as you can see, it's going to follow that CBT framework of analyzing the fear, setting manageable goals, preparing them, and tracking anxiety as well. There's even a little option for reflection. So you can save this for yourself if you want to reuse it. You can send it to a client. It's there so that you have your perfect library built for you. However, we also have this really cool tool that lets you upload worksheets. So I actually have an example here. Let's say you have one that you've been using throughout your career, and this is just a standard CBT for anxiety worksheet. We want to get that made. So we just click on the little paperclip, and I'm going to upload it. As you can see, it's now been uploaded from my desktop. You don't have to say anything, click generate, and it's going to translate exactly what you had on that worksheet in a digitized, interactive version for you to send to your clients. And one thing I haven't mentioned until now is actually we keep track of all of the reminders automatically for these sheets, so you don't have to worry about having to stay on top of your clients in that way. So as you can see, it has really nicely translated this, even taking this multiple choice question and building it into something that is appropriate. And as always, you can save this to your library, send to a client. Now, altogether, this comes to create uMore. We are a team that is super eager to support therapists such as yourself, and we're always making new improvements to the product. We're coming out with updates every week, and we're super responsive. So we have this contact our team button over here. Anything that you want to tell us, we'll listen and we'll be on it. I hope you've enjoyed uMore. If you want to get a personalized demo where I can walk you through how to use it step by step, you can visit our website, which is www.umore.app, and we look forward to supporting your practice.